last effort to close with the management plan. And this last presentation will discuss on the development of the manual, the management plan, how to draft it after, well, the indication we have seen all during the day. Well, in fact, I told you, we came to develop a very concise, very short document. We have been seeing management plan with a huge lot of papers, maps, and whatsoever, which is a kind of, they mix every information they get, and they are quite difficult to be updated, to be used. A management plan instead, in our understanding, is something very technical, but it is an agenda providing indication on who has to do the job. What is your everyday work, where the money comes from, and what you have to use to develop your work, the tools, the equipment, and what you are asked to deliver, indicators. This is the management plan, a simple tool for organizing the everyday work. So it is not a huge amount of paper. It is not the encyclopedia of what is going on in your marine protected area. It is an operational tool. It is mainly 3 chapters, description of what is inside. So you have cartography, a stakeholder analysis. First of all, the regulatory framework, institutional purposes, which most of the time we name the vision the same thing as institutional purposes. It is in our approach, it is the same. Following the Italian legislation, when you have an institutional decree for marine protected area, there is the vision. The scope, which is the plot, the area, the scope is very clear, and the vision, the marine protected area is issued for that purpose. This is the vision. And the cartography. Nothing very complicated. A few days of work and you have all the information needed. At the present point. At the present point. If you see some lacking, if you lack of a piece of cartography, if something is missing, well, you can develop it along the management cycle. You do not have to stop and wait until you have everything done. Because otherwise it will not be updated. You have pieces related to a period, pieces of information which are not updated, and pieces of information which are not at the same level of updating. Chapter 2, well, conceptual model and what comes with. Key targets of conservation, criticality analysis, conceptual model, and this is my personal approach, conservation and institutional strategies on 2 separate chapters, not merged together. And then, what to do, the management plan itself. Monitoring plan, work plan and timetable, budget, midterm analysis and adaptation in case you should need, you do not rely only on a 3-year cycle, but for instance, you work on a 5-year cycle, then in this case, a midterm analysis is suitable. But as long as you work on a 3-year cycle, you can even skip this point. And then communication and publication. Who has access, in which form, to the management plan? Is it a document for open to the broad public or not? Or which chapter, which parts are for everybody and which parts are considered to be sensitive information, not to be shared for everybody? As you see, it is not very complicated. It is quite simple. It doesn't take so long time to develop. Otherwise, if you push inside too many requests, you push inside too many information, I told you, you risk to stop the cycle. You risk to lose time for nothing. Description of the MPA. On the previous approach, we used a 7-step analysis, a questionnaire, because it was the very first approach to MPAs which were already working, which were already established, but did work without a management plan. Then they add pieces of information here and there. And we had to collect and merge all this information. This is why we went with a questionnaire in order to collect and put each piece of information in the due box instead of working on these 6 points. You can choose either to work on the questionnaire, filling the 7 question we will see, or to work on these 6 points, which is lighter, faster. But this is done after the preliminary questionnaire. The questionnaire has been filled at least the very first time. Questionnaire, Team 1. Legislative and regulatory aspects of the MPA. Parameter and verification. Well, I will not read. You can do it by yourself. You have it in the documentation already provided. This is the last part of the same table. And these are the points we had to check the very first time when we went to the MPAs, being part of the ISEA project in 2010. Team 2, planning. Is there any already planned activity? Team 3, financing. Public and private financing, recurring, this means on a yearly basis mostly. Spot financing. Income from selling services or concessions. And funding from local or international projects. Team 4, over 7. The managing. This goes together with the planning. We differ managing and planning. Planning is something already established. Managing is the frame of the activity. Monitoring, protocols, indicators, overview of knowledge, and this is in order to bring in light available information in the, well, which is lost here and there in the marine protected area. All these points to be checked. And last point, stakeholder and participation. These are the points which are focused. Their participation, how they are involved in the activity, any participatory process, long loss of time for achieving no results. But this is my opinion. Inclusion in management planning activities and delegated activities. This is important, in fact. If they have their activity, if they can run their activity within the marine protected area, this is for real a stakeholder. And it is not someone who sits there during a participatory process and slowing down all the activity. Well, these are the 7 points to check on the first issue of the management plan. The second cycle is much faster, and it is the 6 points to be developed, updated on chapter 1. These are several points of the stakeholder analysis. Well, at least the list of persons or activities to take in mind. It is listed in the document. It is important to have this list not only for having the participatory approach of stakeholders, but also when you draft the conceptual model, being able, in case, to connect drivers to stakeholders. And this is as simple as possible, much simpler than Miradi software. This is part of Balearic Island protected areas. It is a reserve. Well, they have a few targets, 5 fish species, 4 pressures, 3 drivers, and 3 strategic activities. It has not to be very complicated. It would be unbelievable. Separate from the conceptual model we have seen, we have the way to draft institutional strategies. And we do it typically after a SWOT analysis, which is a very well-known instrument assessing strengths and weaknesses inside the MPA, which are the good points and the bad points inside your MPA, and opportunities and threats coming from outside. Filling these 4 boxes should bring to understand what is the situation the MPA is facing on a governance point of view, not only on the biological point of view. The previous scheme, the conceptual model, was facing biological objective. By this scheme, we are facing governance problems. For instance, which questions can be answered by the SWOT analysis? At the internal level, within the MPA, good points, bad points. What aspect of the management is working well? What are the strengths of the staff? What are MPA's assets? Weaknesses, is there a lack of management capacity? Is financing sustainable? What are the vulnerabilities? For instance, in our case, in the case of Miramare, we have ended the renting period, the agreed renting period for a villa. We were inside of the Miramare Park, which we used for 20 years to host offices, laboratories, and visiting center. We were there for 20 years, and after 20 years, the owner, which is the state, said, bye-bye. And this is a vulnerability. In fact, not in this box. I'm wrong. It should be external threats. Well, this is the external part for the SWOT analysis, opportunities and threats. Opportunities, is the community supportive of the MPA? Are there opportunities for partnership and collaboration? Are there recent events or influences that might contribute to strengthen the organization? On the opposite, are there upcoming changes in the asset of the MPA? For instance, regulation concerning co-workers. Are there any conditions that can change the support from the local community or the management of the personnel? The next is the description of an activity, strategy or action, number and name, who leads the activity, who is carrying out it, deadline, duration and frequency, means needed, manpower, equipment, consumables, fuel, budget comments. And this part, the gray one, goes in the annual work plan, and the yellow, green, well, this color, objective, description of the objective, related indicator, how to measure it, when, who, where, sampling size, budget, comments. This part of the activity goes in the monitoring plan. And this is how each activity is scheduled, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, time frame, deadline, implementation team, lead, staff, partners, means needed, equipment, consumables, fuel, estimated budget. And the sum of your estimated budget goes in your yearly budget, and then you prioritize your activity. And that's all. It is not complicated.